And welcome. This is Mary Ellen McGonagle with your MEM Edge show, brought to you each and every Friday afternoon. This is the show where we put you in front of where the action is in the broader markets. And I know last Friday things were looking a little wobbly. However, on our show last week, we pointed out that the NASDAQ was finding support, bullish breakouts, and this week we saw quite a bit more. The markets have really broadened out rather extensively, so we are going to cover quite a bit today. Of course, as usual, we are going to take a look at where the current markets are, what we need to be on the lookout for, and all of this is with an eye, of course, toward helping you prepare not only for next week, but beyond. Of course, we do want to have some sort of a framework and game plan. So we're also going to be taking a look at some stocks. Again, there was quite a bit in the way of broadening out in the markets, and we did see a number of names have these bullish breaks back above resistance, and that's in addition to a lot of breakouts, not a lot, but certainly more than a handful. So we're going to take a look at some of those downtrend reversals and also breakouts this week, as well as those that are close to breaking out, given the recently bullish action, certainly this week in the markets. Biden's presidential bid, and with the polls taking a close look, apparently he is in the lead by a bit. I'm not politically inclined in any way, but there are stocks that are on the move in response to that potential outcome. Also, we are going to take a look at stocks that are forming the right sides of bases, and this is going to be a continuation of those downtrend reversals. These are stocks that are a bit further on in their newly formed uptrends. Quick look at some of the news this week. We want to see what the backdrop was, what the drivers were. Unfortunately, jobless claims did remain above 800,000. They were at about 840. 825 was the estimate. So that was not the best of news. The good news there, however, is that the markets were able to look beyond that. There was not a lot of deterioration in the markets given that jobless claims did increase. We did see wholesale inventories rise. That number came out today in August, another positive backdrop for economic expansion. That was good news. Also, next week, inflation numbers, retail sales, and industrial production. Those numbers are going to help provide a little bit more in the way of insights. And I'm wondering why my first two news items did not make it, but those are certainly some of the primary items that did take place this week as your backdrop. Let's dig right in, take a look at the S&P 500. We want to see where this week's 3.8% advance has taken us. So what we are looking at again is a daily price chart. I'd like to key in on these daily simple moving averages because we want the indexes and of course individual stocks as well to be trading above these areas that could potentially be upside resistance. So earlier this week, we did get that nice break back above this red 50-day simple moving average. And this simple moving average, when looking at the broader markets, has significance primarily because institutions are paying very close attention to that. These are the big guns. And so this bullish move back above this red 50-day is quite constructive. We are lacking in volume. It would be certainly a lot more convincing, but we're going to take a look because there is one other major indice that is flashing a even more bullish signal. We can see the RSI is positive, stochastics up above that 50. We're a little bit overbought above 80, but that certainly cannot has occurred in the past and has not been an issue. So looking good with the broader S&P 500. Another view here is the weekly, and I like to show this because this weekly view, and this will apply for other indices as well as individual stocks, it is going to provide you outlook and possible sentiment for a longer term, not just going over, for instance, the next week. This weekly view, we can see that the S&P 500 broke back above this 10-week or 50-day simple moving average. But I wanted to also point out to you that the RSI is positive, and I'm just going to go down here very quickly and pull up the stochastics because I want to show you historically the relevance here. The RSI is positive, as are the stochastics. So when you're looking at this broader view, we can see that there have been periodic breaks of this RSI below the 50, but they have been associated with, in these two instances, bear markets. And so it is certainly a bigger picture, longer term, quite constructive there. So let's go ahead back to the daily view here. And I did want to share with you a view of the NASDAQ, which certainly is a leadership group. And we can see it peaked here in price in early September, and as did the S&P, it did take even more of a tumble, but it had also gone up higher going into that early September move. What I did want to point out to you is that same dynamic where the indice is now above its key simple moving averages, and I'm not seeing it reflected here, but I will tell you that today, it, not so much general volume, but certainly volume on the advancing stocks. Okay, the point here is that we are getting very nice volume on those bullish stocks that are trending upward in the NASDAQ. So let's move right along because we do want to take a look behind the scenes within the S&P 500, certainly the broader markets. What we have here is a 2-month daily price chart view of the various sectors. Gone ahead and sorted it by this RSI, relative strength indicator, and we can see utilities. This is a continuation rally from last week. We had pointed this out, all about alternative energy. And this is a group and an area that has been doing well. I've highlighted it in the past, but certainly Biden's potential lead has a lot of investors excited. He does have a $2 trillion clean air bill or clean energy bill on the table. So that would even advance these stocks further. If we have time, I'm going to share with you some of the super big winners here and how you can use an intraday chart to help guide you in these high flyers. Certainly not utilities, but within alternative energy as well. We can see consumer discretionary. We did get a nice number. Consumer confidence is continuing to improve. So a nice uptick here. And industrials were up 4%, a little bit more than that S&P 500. This next area, I am going to share with you where within industrials we saw some of the bigger moves. And then as we move forward, healthcare, it's been struggling a bit, but it was up 4% this week. We are now poised for this nice 1-month base breakout on healthcare. We're going to explore the strength in that area as well. And then languishing here, communication services, that's really had a tough go as far as regaining its footing compared to some of these other indices. Facebook and Google are the big, they are 40% of this index. They're doing okay, not as well as some of the other mega cap stocks. So that's a peek at the underlying sectors. Let's take this a bit further. Again, a candle glance view. I've gone ahead and populated this with some of these higher growth areas that I cover very, very closely that are on the move. So we not only have the S&P, we have the NASDAQ, the Dow, small cap stocks, biotechs, online retailers, software and semiconductors, as well as regional banks. So let's go ahead and update this again, sort it by RSI. Take a look. Small cap stocks continued last week's rally and had a very nice breakout. This 160 level psychologically was an area of upside resistance. We've broken above that. We can see on this the MACD has turned positive. And for those of you who have not are not tuned in, yesterday In the Chartwise Women's Show, we were all about small caps, highlighting some really nice breakout candidates in that grouping. You may want to take a look at that. But moving forward, I talked about industrials doing well. Take a look. Transports had a nice base breakout this week. A lot of that is airline, the stimulus package that is being pushed forth to help those airline stocks, but other transports also joining the party, which is constructive. You want to see those truckers, those transportation stocks that are moving around purchased goods. It's pointing toward an improving economic backdrop. Semiconductors, super big winners, 7.8% advance for the week. Those of you that follow my work closely, my MEM Edge report, we have been all about semiconductors, highlighting some of these heavyweights in that area, and really have been gotten back in this late September. A number of our stocks stayed on our list, but we've been continuing to add to this really bullish area. Semiconductor chips are really a needed product that are in pretty much every industry, certainly 5G, gaming, and data center, fast data speed is all semiconductor chip related. As we move forward, this is another continuation play from last week. XRT, the retail ETF, and it's an primarily online, rather equal weighted. Big names in here include Etsy and Chewy, and those names, they're retailers that do not have the brick and mortar. So a nice breakout here. This group was up 5% last week, another 5.3% advance. And I'm sure we're going to stumble into a number of stocks from that area as we review those breakout and close to breakout candidates. Take a look here. Biotech stocks. This is, for me and from my work, just a thing of beauty because we did peak here in price. My MEM Edge list, again, we were all over the big winners here, SGEN, Vertex, and so forth. However, they did hit a roadblock with Trump's mandate of lower healthcare or drug cost or drug pricing being lowered, really dampened this uptrend. But we are back in business, if you will. This downtrend is very nicely reversed, and we can see that biotechs are poised to break out at about that 147 level. So we'll take a look at a couple of the better names in that area. And then software up here in the forefront. This KRE is that regional bank. We talked about this last week, and it did carry on. Regional banks were up 7.4%. They are finding resistance here. This is KRE, that S&P Regional Bank ETF, at this downward trending 200-day simple moving average. And unfortunately, most of the underlying stocks are also experiencing this. But I do have a handful of stocks I'm going to share with you that have broken back above resistance. And these bank stocks are due to begin reporting earnings as early as next week. We'll see a number of the smaller bank names, and then the following week, those bigger bank stocks will begin reporting. So that's a look behind the scenes as far as the broader markets. I'm going to take a quick break here. When we get back, we are going to dig in, look at these stocks that are reversing downtrends and breaking out. We'll be right back. Hi, this is Mary Ellen McGonagle, author of the MEM Edge Report. In my bi-weekly report, I highlight top growth stocks as they enter buy zones, and I educate subscribers on why that stock is attractive both technically and fundamentally. In addition, you'll be alerted to when it's time to exit that stock based on negative technical action. And this bi-weekly report gives you confidence by providing fundamental insights into why an area of the market is strong and which companies within that strong area have the best growth profiles that'll help propel that stock higher. Subscribers to the MEM Edge report are benefiting from my expertise in uncovering top performing growth stocks. Subscribe now to take advantage of my special trial offer. And we are back. This first segment, I'm going to go ahead and review some of these stocks that have broken back above key resistance. And there are two, actually three criteria in order for these stocks to have made today's list, because I'm pointing out to you possible candidates as far as the stocks potentially trading higher. So let's take a look at this first candidate. This is eBay, and I'm sure many of you are very familiar with the stock. We can see this is my first criteria, that the stock had been a winner. And all of this has to do with eBay, with the continued retail, online retail sales. They've really have come in as quite a big player. But the stock did peak in price here in July, pulled back rather significantly. But really, I want to see that the stock did have growth prospects either in place or in certainly soon to be in place. eBay, great numbers. But let's take a look at this week's. This is a daily actually. Today, the stock did break back above all of these simple moving averages. Second criteria here, I do want to see that downtrend reversal take place on big volume. We did get that today. I need to see either the RSI or the MACD, preferably both, in positive territory. And we can see that RSI up here trending above that net neutral 50. Not quite there yet with the MACD. Now, the MACD is a momentum indicator, so we have gotten that early black line up through the red. Ideally, I want that MACD to be above that net neutral zero, so I would say keep this on your radar screen. We're going to take a look at a couple of other retailers this week that also reversed their downtrends. And eBay was on an upgrade, and a lot of these are going to be similar types of news items. But let's take a look at DLTR, because I did run this screen earlier today, and we can see that unfortunately the earlier day in the day downtrend reversal did falter. We did close right here at 93.64. Let's go over to here. Actually, the 50-day is at 93.63. So technically, we did break above the 50, but it's not to my liking. I would like to see it to have more emphasis, really pushing up above that. We did get the volume. It's not terribly easy to see, but we did get above average volume. We do have that RSI, but I want that MACD to also turn positive. Another of these retail discount retailers that's not quite there yet, but we're going to keep an eye on it because it did have that criteria of being an earlier winner that fell out of favor. This is Ollie's Bargain Outlet. We can see it's not quite there yet, so it does still have more work to do, but it did have very significant nice growth numbers out of that bear market. Moving right along, as far as looking at other possible downtrend reversals, let's take a look at a healthcare stock, medical equipment, super strong area. And what we can see is significant growth up here as the stock advanced to new highs. It peaked a little bit before the broader markets. That's a very significant sell-off. But take a look over these last 3-day period. We are getting a nice downtrend reversal. For me, today's break back above that 50-day is really telling me that this could have legs. Price target on Wall Street, there is upside. 255. The stock's trading at 216. We can see a positive RSI, that nice MACD crossover indicating positive. And, I am going to share with you another stock because you can see it's had a significant move. I'm going to put the weekly up here very quickly, and we'll see that it has been up, oh my gosh, 14% for the week. I would argue that does not mean the move is over. I'm going to share with you one of those alternative energy stocks that has been a big winner. This is RUN Sunrun, and we can see when it gets going. Now, this is certainly a more dynamic area, but what I was going to share with you is how you can utilize an intra-day chart to guide you in these stocks that have already had significant moves, but do appear to have more potential upside. Most importantly, you want the stock. This is actually, I'm going to pull up a 1 hour so we can get a little more of a uh, certainly less volatile view. So here we are, RUN big winner on a 1 hour. So this is the kind of price action you want to see. This is taking us back to the end of September. Price breaks back above the 5 and 13 hour simple moving averages. Bullish RSI, nice MACD crossover. So we had a significant 6-day advance with RUN, and then a little bit of a natural consolidation. But this is what you want to be on the lookout for as far as a negative move when the stock breaks decisively below that 5 and 13 hour. Take a look at the volume, very significant volume. This is distribution. Your RSI turns negative, as does the MACD. So that's a look there. Let's go ahead and take a look at PEN, which did have a significant move this week. We'll look also at that 1 hour, and we can see on this 1 hour that on the 7th, and that was on Wednesday, the stock did have that nice break back above those simple moving averages, and it is still looking poised to head higher. Now, of course, this is what you want to be on the lookout for, the break back below at some point, but super near term, more potential upside. Let's see if I can share with you a couple of other stocks that have bullishly broken back above. And this is something that certainly you can easily screen for. A little more difficult to see. This is Albertsons ACI. It was a spinoff, a newer issue, was a winner going into the earlier periods of that, of course, with Staples and some of these other uh, supermarket stocks doing well, but it did break back above this 50-day simple moving average, another Wall Street initiation as a buy with an $18 price target. The stock's now trading at 14. So let's go ahead. We're going to leave that as far as the downtrend reversal. And again, just trying to give you an idea of what to be on the lookout for. I'm going to share with you another area. So we did talk about alternative energy and how particularly strong that was. I'm going to share with you another uh, Biden play, for lack of a better word. And for those of you that may not be familiar, Vice President nominee Harris did come out yesterday with a statement relating to cannabis stocks. And she did say that under Biden, marijuana would be decriminalized on the federal level. So we did see a big pickup here. This is yesterday's announcement. I'm pulling up APHRA, APHA. A number of these are going to be Canadian based. They were first to the table, if you will. They did have good news prior to yesterday. They have just begun their first shipment globally to Germany. But what I did want to point out to you is the stock did peak in price back here at the end of July, pulled back, but take a look at the volume here on this most recent week. Nice uptick on the volume, RSI, MACD up here in positive territory. We can take a look at a couple of other names for those of you interested that this is another potential Biden play. A little bit sloppy chart here, but this is Canopy Growth, CGC. This is the nice reaction. Canopy is partially owned by Constellation Brands. I'm just going to share one other name in this space, and it is a bit smaller, but bears just taking a look at. This is AYR Strategies, and the stock did have a nice flat base breakout. Not a whole lot. It is relative, the volume is relatively high, but we can see that it broke out of this flat base to new highs, positive MACD crossover here, and this company is expanding acquisitions throughout Pennsylvania, Ohio, and elsewhere, and it has a $25 price target, currently trading at 14. So that's kind of a stealth Biden play, if you will. Another area that I did want to mention to you is those companies and stocks that are currently forming the right sides of bases. And the reason I am focusing more on these downtrend reversals and those that are forming the right sides of their bases is a number of stocks that are currently hitting a new high in price. A lot of those stocks are really quite extended. So I'm steering a little bit clear of that area. They will have pullbacks. Certainly, Nike, nice uptrend, looks great. But I'm going to take us to a different area and take a look at some stocks that could potentially be poised to break out of these bases. This is another discount retailer, Big Lots, BIG. And again, I'm focused on these names that were big winners. All about for Big Lots, their really swift transition to digital sales. And Big Lots, of course, is a company that does not only food and needed staple products, but they also have a furniture division that has seen tremendous growth, same day delivery. But what we can see here is the stock did peak in price following strong earnings report. This gap up was management pre-announcing their superior sales growth, but right now the stock is in a position to break back out of a nice 1 month base at about that 57 level with a positive RSI and a positive MACD. Let's take a look at some other stocks that again were big winners due to growth, pulled back, and are potentially forming the right sides of bases. This is CHGG, Chegg, online educational firm. And one thing that caught my eye is the stock did have this nice MACD RSI crossover, but we can see that it this week did turn positive. So that's constructive, forming the right side of the space. We can take a look at one other, actually, there are quite a number of these stocks, but another retailer, Zumiez, forming the right side of that base. Let's take a look at NDLS. This week, restaurant stocks surprisingly strong. NDLS is Noodles and Company, a little bit of a smaller name, but small cap stocks are on the move. A big winner going into September, pretty significant pullback, but this week we did get that break back above possible resistance RSI, that MACD just turning positive. So I certainly did want to go ahead and share that with you. Take a look at some of these bank stocks that are bullish, not a large number, but those that are above resistance. Let's take a look at KRE very quickly. I talked about the group finding resistance, but there are a handful of stocks within that area, that regional banking area. And this is First Republic Bank. And I'm very familiar with the stock because it had been a winner for us earlier in the year. A little bit dicey here more recently, but this week, breaking back above all of these simple moving averages, the stock is now poised to break out of a 4 month base. So that would be very, very constructive. Nice pickup here on volume this week. They are due to report earnings on Tuesday, so that's definitely of note. Another stock that we can look at here is WNC. And this is, again, a number of these stocks are a little bit smaller, but it's actually hitting a new high in price. So it did have that base breakout on volume. Wabash National. And another name that we can take a look at in the financials is HOMB, Home Bank Shares. The company over the last 2 years has been on a acquisition trail that's really serving them quite well. And we can see that it has broken back above this simple moving average, poised to trade higher, a nice bullish MACD, as well as an RSI. I think I have time for one more stock in this space, WTFC. And this is Wintrust, another one just now breaking back above. This is unlike that grouping, so keep your eye. It is a smaller stock within that space, but I would keep an eye on that. I'm going to leave it at that. For those of you not familiar with my work, please go to my website, meminvestmentresearch.com. And also you can trial my MEM Edge report for 4 weeks at a very special offer. I'm not only going to keep you on top of where the markets are, but I'm going to be pointing out to you some of those mega cap tech stocks that are really poised to outperform the broader markets. Have a great weekend, everyone. See you next week.
Hey, Grayson Rose here with StockCharts. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, consider giving it a like down below, maybe leave us a comment, and if you're new to the channel, you can subscribe at the link up above. We're gonna bring you daily content from an incredible collection of technical analysts and financial experts.